Ah shit, it's time for some penis. Finally, the new Street Fighter set is out in its entirety. Dual deck included. It's a pretty good set. It's got a lot more good things going for it than bad things. And it marks a big change for the game. And to understand the significance of this change, we're going to have to go back in time a little bit. Let's go back all the way to 4-point Sabretooth games. Back in the day, this game was called the Grey Wars. On account of Foundations being so strong that they were the thing that won games. They were so good at putting your attack, like your one-shot kill through. They're so good at drawing cards and reducing damage. Yeah, it was called the Grey Wars because you just built up a bunch of foundations and waited until you had a shot at a kill turn. And that's basically what most of the game was. Just to put it in perspective, how strong Foundations were when this game was its oldest under Sabretooth. Here's Dancing Battle Kabuki and Blood Runs True. Yeah, over the game's lifespan over Sabretooth, this is the pinnacle of power creep that it came to for Foundations, pretty much. It's hilarious to think that these Foundations existed even when attacks were as strong, if not weaker, than they are now. Jasko attacks are some of the generally the strongest attacks out there too. I mean, all the Red Horizon and Tides cards, a Blazing Storm, Kaplow, Paralyzing Touch. That's kind of the pinnacle of attacks there. I mean, so you had attacks of around that quality playing alongside nonsense like this. So then, when the game was pretty much dead and Fantasy Flight got it, they're these Grey Wars are nastier than having to suck on a prolapsed anus. We gotta fix this. So the power level of Foundations took a huge nosedive, but when Fantasy Flight nerfed Foundations, they also nerfed the block modifiers on them too. And having a block modifier better than 3 was really rare. But as it turns out, that was probably the wrong thing to do, because now that Jasko reverted to making Foundations have pretty good block mods, it seems to make more sense. I mean, you should be incentivized to not drop down a Foundation when they, are guaranteed to do something when they're in your stage. You should be rewarded by having a decent block in your hand, I guess. And if you whiff and you don't draw attacks, you shouldn't be punished by having a hand full of garbage blocks. And I mean, and you can tell they were waiting for Powerful Assassin to rotate to do this. And yeah, it's about time. It's a pretty different and better game now, I think. It's a good job. It's a good job, Jasko. As is now par the course for Jasko sets, all the commons are really strong, especially the attacks, and if they were 3-diff, they would even be as strong as Thermwaff. So the charge keyword has been around for a little bit. It's been on random cards, a promo or two, World of Indines, Blood Omen, and this whole time I thought it's gotta be charging headlong at your opponent. That's the only thing that makes sense. And then out of nowhere, they released, Street Fighter, and they put charge on all of the characters' moves that are charge characters in the game. They just mindfucked me, and probably hella other people, by having this keyword that doesn't mean anything, because you can't have game mechanics, video game fighting game mechanics in a card game, and then they do it for real in the Street Fighter set, and then it actually is an actual mechanic in the video game. So that's pretty funny. That's a pretty funny little anecdote there. One of the worst things about this set that I notice, I think Jasko's a little bit afraid of making 2 checks too strong. Because in their 2 more recent sets, the most degenerate cards are like Cannonade and Scorch Wheel, left a bad taste in the mouth of the community because of how strong they were. So 2 checks are pretty mediocre in comparison, and sometimes not even justified, I think. Lightning Cannonball, does it really have to be 6 difficulty and a 2 check and not have a block? I don't know. Ultimate Killer Head Ram, this is like competing for space with like Death Blow. It doesn't really like need a 2 check. Shoryu Reppa, this attack just like it just sucks considering the check on it. I mean, you don't want to check 7 to get 5 damage, and then to like have to keep checking it to get value out of it. I mean, it's pretty good with Inner Voice, but otherwise 2 check not justified. Nightmare Booster, the most unjustified 2 check probably ever. Like, this is a poke. This isn't even a kill attack. Like, you're not gonna kill people with 2 speed high. 2 speed high for 10. That's not gonna kill anyone. It's a good poke, and I mean, it shouldn't have a 2 check because it's a pretty good poke, so it shouldn't have a 2 check. That's for sure. Bloody High Claw. It's like a worse Concussion Blast. I think I'd rather play Concussion Blast 90% of the time than this attack. It could have better numbers on it. Ultimate Atomic Buster, considering that it's a 5-hander that has to play this attack that doesn't have a block, and it has a 2 check, and it has 6 difficulty, and it like doesn't completely win me the game or nothing. It's not very good. Just not justified. The 2 check is just not justified. I mean, some it is justified. Like, I feel good about Rekka Shingeki and Crazy Buffalo, but those previous ones, they could have been better. There's one card in this whole set that stands out above every single other one, and that card is Prepare to Fight. This card is as good as Templar was when it had Breaker 1, and they put all the shitty symbols on it, kind of like we're gonna see with Guile. They're giving really busted shit to shitty symbols. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do to make the shitty symbols better, I guess. Like, this card is so good that decks are gonna play this, and they're also gonna play Seeking Information and Street Fighter so that they can shuffle them into their deck and draw them more on their opponent's turn. I think that's how good this card is. And Prepare to Fight also lets you live the dream, live the goddamn dream. There's a new dream in this game. That dream is to be playing Capsule Zap, be going second, review a Foundation with Ally on it, play Capsule Zap, play all the Prepare to Fights in your hand, however many you got, to make your opponent wreck their stage, and then Capsule Zap to get a free Foundation. That's the dream. That's the dream that we are all aspiring to attain, and we're gonna aspire to that dream for years to come. Alright, let's start looking at some of these dudes in this set. First is Akuma. At a glance, he's a control character. He hacks your opponent's checks, and he can make them discard a card and momentum. That ability to hack your opponent's checks every single attack after the first is really strong on your opponent's turn. I mean, they can play around it, but I mean, if they do and they don't kill you, then they'll be definitely like have no hand left. But the direction that you want to go in with this character is a little bit ambiguous. I mean, it's 2 different avenues of attack. You can like hack your opponent's checks so they can't block, or you can like try to make them discard too. But you can't do both. You have to commit him to make them discard, and then you can't have that other ability too. And I mean, that first ability, I assume you're playing a slow control deck. You want to use that first ability to make it so they can't sculpt their hand. That would be really useful, but I mean, then that whole other ability is shut off completely, and I don't know if you want to do that. Not being able to have it both ways is an inherent weakness of Akuma, and for that reason, I don't think we're going to see him all that much. Alright, next up is Balrog, and I think 99% of players will agree that either Balrog or T-Hawk, one of them, is probably the worst character in the set. And not sure what's going on here. When you look at Balrog, you look at him and you think to yourself, I bet he comes together really well with his kit. I bet there's more to this guy. And then you look at his attacks and you're like, oh, shit. What's going on here? Charging turn punch. So if you combo it, it's a 2 speed for 9 mid. So it's like Nivos without all those other good keywords on it. Dashing low smash, it's a 1 low for 6. Okay, that sucks. Crazy Buffalo. Oh, okay, that one's actually pretty okay. That one's okay. Dash uppercut. Now, I've seen a lot of reverse power creep in this set. Way of a True Warrior is like a more nerfed Kopakin. Reluctant Icon is like the new orders from Hydern. Ken's Hadoken is like the replacement for Tiger Kick. Summer Vacation is like the really scrapped version of Genius Alchemist. And My Beautiful Face is Ruined is like the new man behind the mask that's not busted. Dash Uppercut is like the new Shoryudan, but completely unnecessarily trash. And it doesn't even make sense. Why would you even care about clogging your opponent's card pool if all your shit's gonna be like 1 speed? I mean, except Crazy Buffalo. I guess that's the only attack that's gonna hit him, I guess. And the only reason I can think that these attacks are so underdamaged is so that Fei Long can use his ability on them in Limited. Because you wouldn't even play these in Constructed, that's for sure. That's the only reason I can think of. So Dash Uppercut ends up being probably the worst card in the whole set, in my opinion. It's so bad. It's so bad, it's like if Balrog sucked Andy's dick and then snowballed the load all over Fei Long's turd, and Dash Uppercut would be the result. But thank God there's some silver lining for Balrog, because Smite and Jargon Raper are amazing attacks for Balrog that actually do work. So thank you. God bless you, Aura. God bless you. And you just know that if they made Smite a Balrog card in this set, you just know it would be 4 speed and 3 damage. You just know it, but god damn it. Thank God that Smite came out before Street Fighter so it could be 3 speed and 4 damage instead of the other way around, because Balrog has to have his attacks be 4 speed and 3 damage. Alright, and then there's Blanca, who, yeah, obviously he's good at attacking your opponent, playing big strings and buffing his attacks. Yeah, so that's pretty good, but if you take a little bit closer look at some of his support, he's an even more complex character than that. Like rolling attack, look at your opponent's top 3 and discard any mount and rearrange them. But like, suppose you put foundations back on top and then you don't mill them. Suppose you do that. And then suppose you use, I don't know, Fight Like a Beast and make them stack more foundations. And then you pass. And then you pass without doing anything. Your opponent's not going to do shit to you next turn. I like that. You know, I like that about Blanca. He's like a crazy like Amazonian monster, but he can play a game of chess when he wants to. It's pretty tight. All right. Cammy has the potential to be the most annoying character in the set for sure. I mean, if your opponent like looks at your hand with either Reclaiming What's Ours or E-Tank, you're probably not gonna like fully block anything, and you're probably gonna have to like take 12 off Gyro Drive Smasher. It's gonna be annoying for sure. Like, it's gonna make, if you're like a newer player and you're on the receiving end of like a turn 3 Cammy blowing your brains out, you're gonna want to blow your brains out too. But I mean, you know, it's like Snake Man exists, but he's not like completely dominant. So I mean, she's probably fine. She's probably okay. Oh man, Chun-Li. She's been heralded as the new really bad version of Zoe, which is pretty true. I mean, she is basically a worse Zoe. But you know, she's one of those characters that she's better when you add up the sum of all of her parts. She has a lot of good support. I mean, what do we got going here? Like, she has a foundation that just says E, your ranged attack gets stun 1, First Lady of Fighting. So, you know, that's really strong. Like, I mean, there's nothing like that in, like, that has ever been printed in, like, 5 or 6 point or any Jasco set. Like, the closest thing is, like, really situational cards, like, Robot Masters or Unspoken Feelings. So the fact that this card exists means you can play a really control game while you build these up. Like, you can play, like, Life. I know it's gonna make a few people chuckle. You can just play Life, but it's true. You play Life, you play Tornado Hold, you play Bird of Prey, so you're an 8 hand size while you build up your First Ladies of Fighting. You play Zeltserreich, so you're like a 9-hander, and there's plenty of spam foundations now that trigger Zeltserreich. And if they attack you, you just Tornado Hold their ass, and you tap them out as much as you can with your First Ladies of Fighting and Quick and Precise. Oh, and Power Split 2, I guess. I mean, there's nothing else you're gonna spend your momentum on. She has really good abilities for a really slow grindy game for sure, especially on account of that one foundation. Yeah, definitely wouldn't want to give Chun-Li to a new player. I remember one new player came to me and wanted to play King from King of Fighters, and I obliged him, but it broke my heart. It broke my heart seeing him get obliterated against the rocks all day. So I know Chun-Li is a big fan favorite, but I hope new players that pick up the dual deck don't go balls deep wanting to play Chun-Li hardcore and invest heavily in it, because it's definitely not a newbie deck, that's for sure. Oh man, DJ, he's probably one of the best pokers in the game now. I mean, if he throws an air slasher at you and you block that shit, he's either gonna like draw 3 and then build a shitload, or like you're gonna get obliterated by Sabat Carnivals. So he's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. Not much to say, but he's pretty cool. Dalsim is the resident boring one-dimensional character of the set, which is good. There should always be a boring one-dimensional character that's pretty good. So I mean, you can play the game and like not have to do too much shit. He's about the right power level for that too. I like Dalsim a lot. What I like even more about Dalsim is his Ultra Yoga Inferno. This attack is a huge love letter to Yoga Mastery from Legacy, and as you can see, there's a lot of shit going on in this attack. So I mean, yeah, you can play Dalsim as a simple, like, generic deck, but I mean, you can throw this bastard in too, and then you're playing like a crazy tech deck that does all, you know, Yoga Mastery. So it's a big two-way street like that. It's pretty good. Pretty good card design. E Honda, I'm really glad for E Honda. I think I've seen him get played more than any character in the set. He's fun, and he's pretty balanced too, I think. What he's not balanced in is limited. If you play a limited and you have a 40 card deck, you better be ready for E Honda to shove his flaming fist up your ass, because after you block him like 5 times, your deck's half your deck is removed from the game if you block him 5 times. Yeah, if you're playing with savvy players, I don't think I don't know. I guess I just hate losing to Chris Pratt. I guess that's all it is. Never mind. Forget I said anything. Okay, Fei Long. You would never play this guy over Pharaoh Man. That's a sad state of the game. Unfortunately, you gotta compare everything with whatever the strongest thing is. He's definitely outshined by Pharaoh Man, who can play whatever attacks he wants. And Fei Long is kind of pigeonholed into basically stringing mostly attacks that are 3 or less damage. The game's pretty balanced right now. There's like no way to cheat stuff. Like when I played Fei Long while Gravity Hold was still legal, I did really good. And then it got banned, and I tried other Fei Long. I tried Water again, and then I tried Fire, and and it sucked, and I didn't top either one. There isn't enough like ways to cheat attacks into your pool that don't count towards aggressive stuff like that will make him any good. Unfortunately, you're probably just gonna be one-shotting people with Rekka Shinken most of the time with this deck. All right. Guile is next. He's a special character. Pretty much my theory is that Jasko was tired of Earth, Good, and Order sucking dick. So they're like, okay, fuck it. We're just gonna make Guile busted. And so they did. And like, if he had like air or life on him, he would he probably would get banned, but he doesn't. There are a few ways you can play him. I mean, you can play Good Earth, and you got all kinds of good foundations that go good with him. You know, Glacial Assault. Champion of Southtown obviously is huge. I like him better on Order though, because you get Clear Cutter and all the foundations that don't count towards progressive go really good with his Flash Kick and his Sonic Boom. Yeah, really happy with Guile. Okay. Then there's Ken. I kind of forgot that Ken existed. He's pretty boring on account of not being able to stun your opponent on their turn. They have a few good head games going on, like using his draw ability on your first attack, and then having like a huge attack later to kill them, baiting them into blocking your early attacks. That's pretty good. But mostly, people are gonna play the shit out of his Hadoken and his Tatsumaki, and that'll be it. Okay. And then M. Bison. He's one of my favorites too. Very controlling. He is definitely the "don't think so" character of the set. He's like Balrog in that his best lineup is from Blood Omen. The shiny Ulrich attacks. It's like they were made for him. So like Devil Reverse. It's probably like the best attack like ever made, but it's Bison only essentially. Like if that R wasn't Bison only, like this attack would like see play in every single deck that could, with like no exceptions. It's so good. Your opponent can't fully block it, and you get a free momentum. Even if your opponent stops it with, say, Ophidiophobia, you still get the momentum. It's so good. But then on top of that, it also combos into Smite, into Jargon Raper. And it even builds the momentum that you need to fully realize the attack string. And that is just perfect because those make your opponent discard and make it hard to block. So if they try to draw or add cards from their stage, Bison says no to that. And then they die. I think there is one inherent design flaw with him, unfortunately, in that he is 27 life and let's be honest, his second ability is just icing on the cake. It's not really that great. And it's probably not even gonna come into play all that often on account of Devil Reverse, Smite, and Jargon Raper not even getting fully blocked. So what they did essentially was make a 6-hander that has like a max life of, 21. That's basically what we're looking at here. I know they made it have a cost of 2 vitality so that if you made a deck that all it does is control and make the game go a long time, he would get probably way too much value out of his R over the entire game. So he has to have some kind of steep cost, which is the 2 life. But I mean, yeah. So what that means is it's like you're playing a 21 vitality character, pretty much. That's what it means. But I still played him quite a bit and had a lot of success with the Chaos Jargon Raper setup. I mean, Devil Reverse makes him like, if you're going second, you lose the die roll, or you won for round 1. You can go Devil Reverse turn 1, get 2 momentum essentially for free, unless they have like Leaf Shield, and then you already have Skullbarrier set up on your opponent's turn 2. That's huge. So Ryu is probably one of the best designed starter/dual deck characters ever. In this game, probably the funnest thing is like playing attacks and blocking. That's like the fun part of the game. And with Ryu, you're just incentivized to do both. Like even like no matter what, you incentivize to throw an attack at your opponent. Either you're gonna hit them, which is always good, or even if they block it, they're blocking an attack with a slight speed pump, and your next check gets a bonus. And then you're incentivized to block because you get to draw a card. So he's a really good starter deck card, because I mean that's probably what new players want to do. They probably want to attack and block and stuff. It's pretty good. It's like he's He's the ultimate universal fighter who can't get enough fighting. Yeah! Oh, Sagat. The high-level tinker the shit out of your deck character. There's so much he can do. So many ways to play him. So much different support that does different things for him. Probably one of the most satisfying characters to play at a higher level. Sakura. Is she a cool control deck or a retarded Tengu Dive character? I guess it all depends if you're Chris Pratt. I am almost positive that Vega is going to emerge as the most competitive character in the game. Obviously, you know, he's a 7-hander and you can like just, you know, kill him. Like, I played him. I played him with Guile, and you know, you just like one-shot him. Just one-shot him with a double flash kick. Yeah, the game could use more control characters. And I mean, you can play around him good enough that he's not too good. So he's still a really good character design. Makes both players think a lot. Okay, Zangief. There's a thing about 5-handers, and that thing is that they don't build very good. So I mean, with like one exception, which is Clark, if a 5-hander has like committal attached to his abilities, he's not going to be all that good. I mean, Clark, he gets like, you know, 6 damage off his ability if he has, you know, his support out, and then his other ability's busted. So I mean, but like otherwise, like Goro, why is Goro good? Because he doesn't have to like commit foundations to do his shit. Why is Napalm Man too good? Because he doesn't have to commit foundations to use his shit. I mean, if Napalm Man did have commit a foundation on both of his abilities as a cost, he'd probably be around Clark level. A little bit disappointed we didn't see a Napalm Man promo with that. Like we kind of thought we were gonna, like with Ever Hopeful. So like, why do T-Hawk and Zangief kind of suck? Well, because they have to commit foundations to do their shit. Like, why does Cadenza suck? Oh, because he has to commit too many foundations to do his shit. Oh, why is Mei Lin really good? Oh, because she doesn't have to commit shit to do her shit. Why does Vincent Gray 2 suck dick? Oh, because he has to commit too often for his abilities. To do his shit. Their abilities are not there where they would have to be for having committal costs on 5-handers. They're not at Clark level. Yeah, Zangief is like he's just a shitty Clark. That's all he is. So like, I could just like rip at T-Hawk like everyone wants and expects, but that's boring. Let's do something funner. Let's design a character together that could have been besides T-Hawk. We'll make it his waifu to start. You know, in honor of T-Hawk. She can have the same symbols. Let's make her a control-y 7-hander, I think. You know, because she, you know, that's what the lightly built characters, you know, are usually 7-handers. What's a good control ability that we could give her to start? Like, how about after you block your opponent's attack? Okay. After you block your opponent's attack, your opponent commits 1 foundation. Okay, that's a good start. Okay, but it's a little bit too free. What should the cost be? Yeah, in this new era, we gotta put kind of steep costs on control effects sometimes. How about discard 1 card as a cost for that one? I mean, if you're playing Templar, it's really easy to do that. It's really easy to draw cards. So yeah, that can be one of the costs. I mean, what if you don't want to like play a deck that draws a shitload? Okay, flip 2 foundations. That can be the other cost. It can have those. It can have either or. So you can either discard 1 card or flip 2 of your foundations as a cost to make your opponent flip 1 after you block. That's a pretty okay ability, I think. We should do more though. We should have. Let's go into new territory here. Let's just say E, commit your opponent's character. That's good. That's a good ability. Like that'll shut down a lot of stuff. That'll shut down your opponent from doing the nasty things. But that's way too good. We gotta like figure out a way to make this ability balanced. Like commit your opponent's character, and your opponent's next attack gets ignores progressive difficulty. Like that's something like, yeah, let's do that. But to make it fair, we'll say it's only playable on your opponent's third attack. I think that makes sense. Okay, E, commit your opponent's character, only playable on your opponent's third attack. Yeah, she's a, yeah, I like that. I like if any of you guys want to try this character out. I don't know. I think it's pretty nice. I think I'm pretty good at designing cards. You know, please hire me. Please hire me, Jasco, to design cards